if Europe plays the NATO bill, then we're going to get European-style universal health care. You guys are down?
I'm not commenting on healthcare. I'm saying.
Because you said they got all these.
I didn't hear her say that.
I'm just saying. You're talking about what they got. What that got to do with him lying?
Lying.
He lied. He said that they didn't. He said that they didn't help out. They helped. He said that they haven't been there for all. Let's say.
It's not even funny. It's just embarrassing at a certain point. When are we going to get back to a serious White House?
Let's be honest, nothing exposes political spin faster than when commentators start using a movement's own words against it. That's when the talking points fall apart and the contradictions start showing in real time. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Because in this clip, you're about to watch a tense panel moment where voices like Abby Phillip and analysts on CNN directly challenge defenders trying to soften or explain away Donald Trump's controversial remarks about NATO and the Allied sacrifices made after the September 11th attacks. This exchange turns into one of those rare moments where the narrative gets tested live on air, the facts get pulled front and center, and the usual defenses suddenly sound a lot weaker under pressure. So we're going to roll the clip, break it down step by step, and I'll give you the key takeaways as we go, plus the bigger picture once it's done. Let's get into it.
All right, next for us, allies are livid at Donald Trump tonight, not over Greenland, but his claim that NATO troops avoided the front lines in Afghanistan. Even Prince Harry is calling him out for it. We'll debate next. President Trump is angering America's allies over new comments he made, once again undermining NATO.
I've always said, will they be there if we ever needed them? And that's really the ultimate test. And I'm not sure of that. We've never needed them. We have never really asked anything of them. You know, they'll say they sent some troops to Afghanistan or this or that. And they did. They stayed a little back, a little off the front lines.
Now, in the wake of 9/11, the United States became the first and so far the only NATO member to invoke Article 5. The alliance sent thousands of troops to help the United States fight its war in Afghanistan. And Trump's remarks have outraged lawmakers across the political spectrum, as well as veterans and families of those who gave their lives. Tonight, Prince Harry, who served in Afghanistan, also pushed back, writing in part, quote, "Thousands of lives were changed forever. Those sacrifices deserve to be spoken about truthfully and with respect, as we all remain united and loyal to the defense of diplomacy and peace." President Trump, he's the president, but he seems to not have very much grasp of recent history or not so recent history. But in this case, it is astoundingly disrespectful to our allies to suggest that they did nothing when they actually did quite a lot.
Well, I think we can do two things here. I mean, we could and should acknowledge when our allies have been there for us, and they have been there for us. But there's nothing wrong with holding our allies accountable, which I think is part of what the president's been doing, particularly with Europe, where we've seen they have moved closer into the arms of China, where we have seen them become more and more reliant on Vladimir Putin for their energy needs. And for years, they've been saying they were going to step up and put more money into their own defense and national security, and they didn't do it. And it took President Trump coming in to get them to do it. So I can kind of understand some of the frustrations that he brings forward.
What that got to do with him lying?
Lying.
He lied. He said that they didn't. He said that they didn't help out. They helped. He said that they haven't been there for all. Let's say everything you just said is true.
I started my statement by saying I think we could and should acknowledge when our allies are there.
I know. I'm right. But then so that's the first part. This is what I like. So the first part is and then the second part is where you launder. The second part of your sentence, you launder what he said as if there's some universe which it's sane in, and it's not. There's no.
I didn't launder anything. I stated facts.
You laundered
it because all three things that I said were facts.
President Trump, he came out and he said something that's demonstrably untrue. But let me tell you why it's not that bad in the grand scheme of things. He's the president of the United States. The stuff that he says matters. We should care as an American community whether or not he's saying things that are true and whether or not he's saying things that our reputation benefits from. And he's not doing that. He's acting crazy.
I think it's.
And that right there is such a very, very valid point. And this is going to be very, very brief. That Van Lathan literally just said. I always say the humiliation ritual continues because MAGA have to bend themselves into pretzels to try and defend the indefensible. The US being the only country that has triggered Article 5 of the NATO Treaty, and everybody within Europe, they came to America's defense, which we should. that should be acknowledged and respected, even though, yes, Europe does need to do more. But this wasn't a point that you should be trying to make a defense for what Donald Trump said, because like I always say, you can't defend the indefensible.
Particularly harmful when it's statements that undercut the sacrifice that a lot of these families made. And it was great to see Senator Tom Tillis list out the countries and the amount of people who died. UK, 457. I mean, I know that he has continuous beef with NATO, but at some point we have to say, okay, a line has been crossed, and we're talking about young men and women who died and sacrificed themselves when they didn't have to for this country.
Let me just play what one of those families said, a family who lost, or whose child sustained serious injuries in Afghanistan.
It's disgraceful, it's disrespectful, it's hurtful. These are the rantings of a child. This is somebody who is deflecting from other things that he said, and it's not acceptable in a supposed leader of the free world.
It is, to Van's point, not even remotely in the same universe of things for Trump to have complaints about whether NATO is, committing enough to their defense, or whether or not they are too close to China, maybe they're taking Russian oil. It's not in the same universe as him then using falsehoods to essentially smear people who sacrificed their lives for us, Americans.
Yeah, they died. People died, and they were on the front lines. And so you're right, he did lie, and I wish more Republicans would come out and speak out against him. Crazy thing about this is the second time I have seen a clip in the last sort of 5 days from an ally or from someone essentially saying that Donald Trump is acting like a child. We saw this in Greenland, where he admitted that because he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, that's why he was upset about Greenland and wanted to, at every turn, he is embarrassing us on the world stage, and it is embarrassing that he is now being called a child.
And looking at this from the outside, you can really feel the shift in how America is being viewed globally. Walk through the streets, scan the British headlines, listen to conversations in cafes. There's a clear sense of uncertainty, even a bit of disbelief about the direction of the United States right now. It's not anger so much as concern. People know the current leadership cycle still has time left, but whoever comes next is going to inherit a serious challenge: rebuilding trust, restoring credibility, and repairing relationships that once felt rock solid. That reputation won't fix itself. It's going to take real work.
Put up real quick the penguin meme, because I think this speaks to what you're talking about. There is a kind of acceptance of a dumbing down of not just politics, but I mean, this is like foreign policy. He's walking, it's a meme, right? He stole a meme from somebody else. It's AI generated. There are no penguins on Greenland. There are no penguins in the Northern Hemisphere.
Unfortunate.
It's not even funny. It's just embarrassing at a certain point. When are we going to get back to a serious White House?
Well, look, I disagree with the president's comments, basically diminishing Europe's aid. And I'm super grateful for every veteran. And we should never pretend that they didn't sacrifice their lives, because that is such an important contribution. But I think a couple things we saw at Davos this week, I think Americans, just generally, if I can kind of talk about how the MAGA base feels about this, they feel like we've contributed over the years, and we have, 22 trillion to NATO. And they look at Europe and they kind of feel like we're the older sibling who's spending for everyone's defense. And meanwhile, people in Europe are living La Dolce Vita. They're taking August off. And we're basically kind of bankrolling their lifestyle. And they have all these fabulous social benefits. Well, we can't buy houses, and we don't have paid maternity leave, and we don't have all these things in the U.S. And so I think that's what he was trying to communicate. And obviously, that was not done in a great way. But the other piece
those are choices that we make in the United States.
What you
We
guys
could
are
certainly
saying,
have paid
so
maternity leave.
we got common ground. You guys are saying that if Europe plays the NATO bill, then we're going to get European-style universal health care. You guys are down?
I'm not commenting on healthcare. I'm saying,
because you said they got all these.
I didn't hear her say that.
I'm just saying, you're talking about what they got. Because I'm down for it.
I'm saying, how does the average American feel when people in France are living La Dolce Vita,
All right, guys.
Dolce
and
Vita.
we're bankrolling their lifestyle?
Next for us.
And just like that, boom, hypocrisy on full display. This is exactly why these moments are so telling. You see, she tried to throw a little gotcha moment at us from across the Atlantic, pointing fingers at Europe, claiming we're living the dream with free healthcare and social programs. Sure, Europe has its own issues. I live in the United Kingdom, I see them every day, but the way Van Loon flipped that argument back? Absolute mastery. She turned the narrative on its head. Suddenly, the conversation shifted. The point wasn't Europe's benefits anymore. It became a mirror reflecting MAGA logic, or the lack thereof. The claim was essentially, oh, Europe has these social programs? Fine, but the US can handle its own agenda and priorities. And Van Loon didn't stop there. She pointed out, with that razor-sharp clarity, that if following Donald Trump's NATO narrative could somehow translate into better social programs for Americans, she's all for it. And the pushback? Hilariously incoherent, stuttering, backtracking, and trying to twist words that were already twisted. It's almost performance art at this point. The lengths MAGA defenders will go just to bend reality and defend a narrative that doesn't hold water. And this is exactly why I keep saying it. Right now, being a Republican, being MAGA, or even leaning conservative in this particular moment is essentially a humiliation ritual. That's it. There's no sugarcoating it. You watch the points get made, then unmade, then contorted beyond recognition, all in real time. It's absurd, and yet it's reality. Van Loon made incredibly valid points throughout, and as usual, MAGA Republicans and right-leaning strategists, they just speak nonsense. Pure nonsense. And it's not even subtle. It's the kind of rhetoric that makes you shake your head in disbelief. I want to hear what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that thumbs up if you agree, and make sure you subscribe to Civic Flash so you never miss the latest breakdowns like this.